Thank you for joining us. I'm Carlo Cicchetto.
I'm Marcella Lee. We have been showing you the images for days. Migrants crowded at the border. Tonight, many have been bused to shelters as the next part of their journey begins. But many more are still waiting at the border. Tonight, we have team coverage. CBS 8's Kirsten Holmes has the latest from the border. But first, let's go live to Anna Laurel outside a shelter in Mission Valley. Anna.
That's right, you guys. I was just turning around. Look here behind me. Here's a bus coming in. I can't tell if there are people inside. We've been seeing several large buses and then full-size vans coming in. Usually they go further back into the parking lot, and then we'll see people get out, get their belongings, and go inside. So we've got some video of that happening just moments ago. We've seen probably maybe 10 buses and vans coming in since I got here about an hour and a half ago. 100% of the people who make it to this point, to this shelter and others in this network of migrant shelters around our county, they've all been through Border Patrol and ICE. They were the ones we saw at the wall earlier this week, and now they're ready to go to their families or sponsors somewhere in the United States and wait for their asylum hearing. I just met a man, you guys, outside this shelter. He's still here. He's been waiting on his wife and children for hours. He knew they were traveling to the border to try and get in. He last spoke with his wife yesterday, but with others they were traveling with told them his wife and children are on their way here.
I'm here, I'm focused to work. I think my family is coming here is good life because I'm coming here because it's my country's problem. Religion is problem.
And so now he waits. He's relieved, of course, that his wife and 2 young children are no longer down at the border wall. But Catholic Charities has a 3,500 bed capacity at the shelter where I am and others around town. The CEO of Catholic Charities tells me people coming here are getting food, a shower, they regroup, and then they leave pretty quickly to go where they need to go. I ask him what it's like to see this influx of men, women, and children risk it all and end up at a San Diego County Catholic Charities shelter.
I have 2 kids. If they are put in harm's way, if they are in danger, I would carry them across mountains, swim across oceans. Any threat I will come just to get them to safety. Those parents, those families are doing exactly what I would do.
If you're a parent or a caregiver, you can relate to that, right? And so here they come. We are the beacon of hope for the world. And what we found out this week, they were just shocked that they got stuck at the border. They thought the doors would just open for them. That's not exactly how it works. But once they've made it through that entryway, here they are at shelters like this one behind me. And yeah, so the bus is pulled all the way through, and again, all day long and all night last night, our crews out here have been watching these buses drop off people who waited there at the border. Guys?
Anna, one thing though, for our viewers who might be under the impression that all asylum seekers had been stopped because of Title 42, that wasn't the case. Migrants have still been processed over the last couple of years, right?
Yeah, they have. I did a story with some migrants that were dropped off at an El Cajon bus station back at Christmas. They were seeking asylum. So people were still allowed to. The influx, we believe, is because and we've talked about that this week. Anytime there's a change in U.S. policy, that's when smugglers start telling people, hurry, come now, there's about to be a change. And there are new laws already rolling out that is going to make it more difficult for people. So that's why we're seeing this crush of people right now and backlogging the system.
All right, Anna Laurel reporting for us live from Mission Valley. Thanks, Anna.
Meantime, tonight, more migrants continue to wait down at our border.
CBS 8's Kirsten Holmes is live at the border tonight with the situation there. Kirsten.
I'm here off Monument Road in San Ysidro near the border wall, and less than 24 hours after the end of Title 42. I want you to take a look behind me. As you can see, not much has changed since the pandemic era policy expired. Now, another thing I want you to note is how the help that's been pouring in for these people here also has not changed as they start to look to our local, state, and federal leaders for answers on what will happen next for all of these people and what they should be doing right now here at the border.
I've been a resident of San Diego for 30 years, and we have never seen what we are seeing today.
Adriana Hasso is with the American Friends Service Committee. They're just one of the groups of volunteers who are at the border wall in San Ysidro doing what they can to help.
We've been able to pull it together and answer to the call of bring me water, bring me a blanket, give me some kind of sense of belonging, and that's what we're trying to do. And it's unsustainable, it's unhealthy. We had a couple of people pass out yesterday. A Colombian migrant is a registered nurse in her country, and she was able to help.
U.S. officials estimate 13,000 people a day will come to the U.S.-Mexico border, stretching from Texas all the way to California. That's up from about 6,000 on a typical day before Title 42 expired Thursday night. U.S. Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas says the border situation reflects a fundamentally broken immigration system. Lillian Serrano is the director of the Southern Border Communities Coalition. She says they're helping out by holding those interacting with migrants accountable.
Border Patrol is telling them they're not free to go. All of this to us indicators that people are in custody, and because people are in custody of Border Patrol, they are standards set by our national policies, but also international treaties of human rights on how folks who are under the custody of law enforcement should be treated.
This could happen to anyone. A hurricane, an earthquake, a flood, a situation of violence could happen to anyone.
Again, this is a live look at the border wall here in San Ysidro. Now, I spoke with a man yesterday on the other side of this wall who was wearing one of those wristbands that were mentioned earlier in this story. He was here at our border from Turkey, and he was visibly distraught at the idea that his family might not be allowed entry into the United States after he says they sold everything they had just to get to this border wall here in San Ysidro. Back to you.
Kirsten, every migrant having a story on why they are waiting there, trying to get into this country. We're hearing about people in custody. Do you know how many people have been taken into Customs and Border Patrol custody since Title 8 took effect?
Yeah, as of Friday afternoon, 23,400 people have been taken into Border Patrol custody. That's about 1,500 people more than in the 2 days before Title 42's expiration.
All right, we'll be keeping tabs on what happens to the rest of the people who are waiting down at the border. Thanks so much, Kirsten Holmes, reporting live. And a lot of you have been asking, how can I help? Tonight, we have the answer coming up new in our second half hour, where you can go to donate money or resources to help migrants at our border.
In other news tonight, a motel in Barrio Logan with years of prostitution complaints just made a deal with the city attorney to stay in business.
This property is being renovated, and the owners have agreed to new rules that aim to stop sex trafficking. CBS 8's Jenny Day is live tonight from the Main Street Motel.
It was very evident what was happening because people were standing here in the streets being sold.
San Diego City Attorney Mara Elliott filing a lawsuit that forces the Main Street Motel to clean up what's happening here. They'll have to implement 36 compliance measures to stay in business.
To my right, there's a big apartment complex. There are homes behind us with families. And it was not the type of area that somebody would want to live in.
CBS 8 has been covering this one for years. Women in broad daylight selling themselves for sex. Always a parade of cars with interested buyers.
It's obvious that the rooms were being used for prostitution. You know, the short-term rentals, the cash payments, the clientele.
When stopped by police, many of the women had Main Street Motel room keys. The police department responded to 229 calls here since 2019. That include loitering, fights, drugs, and sex trafficking.
Not uncommon to find teenagers out here. It's very sad.
8 minors, including one 13-year-old who had been forced into sex work, were rescued from what's been described as a very active operation. 48 people were arrested following a sex trafficking sting in just the past 3 months.
Although it's a sad story, it is a happy ending. We were able to rescue them, get them the resources they needed, and return them back to their family and get them out of this life.
The motel in Barrio Logan is near Naval Base San Diego and is now under renovation. The owner initially saying he had no control over the guests, but after 8 months of back and forth with the city attorney, has agreed to change management and pay fines to cover the city's investigation.
If they cooperate, they have a lower fine. If they don't cooperate, there's a higher fine. So we will be monitoring the situation to make sure that they stay true to their word.
Rooms also won't be rented by the hour. Credit cards will be needed instead of cash, security guards, and signs that say cameras are rolling. The police department will have 24-hour access to that footage.
Those guardrails in place, we are hoping that we're going to bring sanctity back to the community.
Jenny Day reporting. Thanks, Jen.